The world is a dangerous place. Every corner, every shadow, holds the potential for unseen threats. We live in a time where the lines between safety and danger are increasingly blurred. We lock our doors at night, believing that a simple bolt can keep the chaos at bay. It's a ritual of security, a small act of defiance against the unknown. We teach our children about stranger danger, instilling in them the importance of caution. We tell them to stay close, to be wary of those who might mean them harm. But what happens when the danger lurks behind a screen? When the very tools we use to connect and communicate become the instruments of our undoing? When a simple swipe right can lead to a living nightmare? The digital age has brought us closer together, but it has also opened new avenues for those with malicious intent. This is the story of the Fentanyl Robbery Gang, a group of predators who used the anonymity of the internet to prey on unsuspecting victims. They were not just criminals, they were architects of fear, exploiting the trust and vulnerability of their targets. These criminals were not common thugs, they were organized, they were cunning. They operated with a level of sophistication that made them particularly dangerous, and they had a weapon more potent and terrifying than a gun fentanyl. This synthetic opioid, often disguised and undetectable, became their tool of terror. This deadly opioid, 50 times stronger than heroin, was their tool of choice, used to incapacitate victims and leave them vulnerable to robbery. The victims, often unaware of what had happened, would wake up hours later, their lives forever changed. Imagine for a moment the horror of meeting someone from a dating app, believing you've found a connection, only to have your world turned upside down. The excitement of a new relationship quickly turns into a nightmare as the true intentions of your date become clear. You black out, your body invaded by a poison you never saw coming, the trust you placed in a stranger shattered in an instant. You wake up hours later disoriented, violated, and robbed of your possessions, your sense of safety, and your trust in humanity. The physical and emotional scars run deep, leaving a lasting impact on your life. This is the chilling reality that the Fentanyl Robbery Gang brought to life, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Their actions have left communities in fear and authorities scrambling to bring them to justice. This isn't just a news story, it's a warning. A stark reminder that the world we live in is fraught with dangers both seen and unseen. A reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places and that vigilance, both online and offline, is our strongest defense. We must remain aware, stay informed, and protect ourselves and our loved ones from the ever-evolving threats that surround us. The Fentanyl Robbery Gang's weapon of choice was deception. They infiltrated dating apps, crafting profiles designed to lure unsuspecting victims into their trap. They posed as successful professionals, charming singles, anyone they thought would pique their target's interest. Their strategy was cold and calculating: gain trust, establish a connection, then strike. They would arrange to meet their victims for drinks or dinner. They'd slip fentanyl into their drinks when their guard was down, transforming a seemingly innocent date into a life-or-death situation. Once their victims were incapacitated, the gang would steal their wallets, purses, phones, and even their cars, leaving them stranded and helpless. They operated with chilling efficiency, often leaving their victims with no memory of the assault, only the devastating consequences. This method, as horrific as it is effective, highlights the vulnerability of online interactions. It's a stark reminder that we never truly know who we're connecting with in the digital world. The person on the other side of the screen may not be who they seem, and sometimes the consequences of that deception can be truly deadly. Mary, a vibrant woman of 50, had been single for a few years. She had always been independent, enjoying her own company and the freedom that came with it, but as time passed, she began to feel the pangs of loneliness. Her friends often encouraged her to get back into the dating scene, but Mary was hesitant. She had heard so many horror stories about online dating and wasn't sure if it was for her. Feeling ready to connect with someone new, she decided to try her luck on a popular dating app. She spent hours crafting the perfect profile, highlighting her love for nature, her passion for cooking, and her adventurous spirit. She uploaded a few photos, hoping to attract someone who shared her interests. She soon matched with a man named John, who seemed charming, successful, and shared her love for hiking and travel. His profile was filled with pictures of him on various adventures, from mountain climbing to scuba diving. They seemed like a perfect match. They exchanged messages for weeks, building what Mary believed was a genuine connection. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, and Mary found herself looking forward to their chats. John had a way of making her feel special, like she was the only woman in the world. John seemed attentive, asking all the right questions and making Mary feel special. He remembered the little details she shared, like her favorite book and the name of her childhood pet. It was refreshing to meet someone who seemed genuinely interested in her. He eventually suggested they meet for dinner at a restaurant in her neighborhood. Mary was nervous but excited. She spent hours getting ready, choosing the perfect outfit and doing her hair and makeup. She wanted to make a good impression. Mary, excited about the prospect of finally meeting him face to face, agreed. She arrived at the restaurant a little early, her heart pounding with anticipation. When John walked in, he was even more handsome than his photos. They greeted each other with a warm hug and sat down to dinner. The evening started well. John was everything he seemed online. Charming, engaging, and easy to talk to. They laughed, shared stories, and talked for hours. Mary felt a connection she hadn't felt in years. They laughed, shared stories, and talked for hours. John told her about his travels, his work, and his dreams for the future. Mary found herself opening up to him in a way she hadn't with anyone else. It felt like they had known each other forever. But as the evening progressed, Mary started feeling strange. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but something was off. Her head felt heavy, and her vision began to blur. She tried to shake it off, thinking maybe she was just tired. She felt dizzy and disoriented, her vision blurring. She tried to focus on John's face, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. She excused herself to the restroom, hoping a splash of cold water would help. The last thing she remembered was John offering to freshen her drink. She took a sip and everything went black. The world around her faded into darkness and she felt herself slipping away. Mary woke up the next morning in her own bed, her head pounding, her mouth dry, and a gaping hole in her memory. She had no recollection of how she got home. Panic set in as she tried to piece together the events of the previous night. She stumbled to the bathroom, her reflection in the mirror, a stranger to her own eyes. Her makeup was smudged and her hair was a mess. She felt a wave of nausea wash over her as she tried to make sense of what had happened. As she pieced together the fragmented memories of the previous night, a chilling realization dawned on her. She had been drugged. The thought sent shivers down her spine. She felt violated and scared. Her purse was gone, her credit cards missing, and her phone nowhere to be found. She frantically searched her apartment, hoping to find some clue, but it was all gone. She felt a sense of dread settle in her stomach. Panic surged through her as she realized she had become a victim of the Fentanyl Robbery Gang. The realization was like a punch to the gut. She had heard about them on the news, but never in her wildest dreams did she think she would become one of their victims. The betrayal cut deep, and Mary knew her life would never be the same again. The Fentanyl Robbery Gang's crimes extended far beyond robbery. Their actions were not just about stealing possessions or money, they were about stealing lives and futures. Their reckless use of fentanyl, a drug so potent that even a tiny dose can be fatal, had tragic consequences. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. It is often used medically to treat patients with severe pain, especially after surgery. However, when used illicitly, it becomes a silent killer. 4 innocent lives were lost due to their callous actions. These were not just statistics, they were real people with families, friends, and dreams. Each candle at the vigil represents a life snuffed out too soon. These victims, each with their own stories, hopes, and dreams, were unknowingly given a lethal dose of fentanyl. They were celebrating milestones, enjoying everyday moments, and looking forward to the future. Their lives were full of potential and promise. They never stood a chance. The drug took hold quickly, leaving them helpless and vulnerable. The empty playground symbolizes the void left in their communities and the lives that will never be the same. Their deaths serve as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of this deadly epidemic that is gripping our nation. Communities are rallying together, holding protests and meetings, trying to find solutions to this growing problem. The fight against the opioid crisis is ongoing and requires collective effort. Beyond the immediate victims, the families and loved ones of those targeted by the gang were left to grapple with the emotional fallout. The pain of losing a loved one in such a senseless manner is indescribable. Funerals and memorial services become a common scene as families try to find solace in each other. The trauma of knowing their loved one was drugged and robbed, or worse, lost their life because of a seemingly harmless date, is a burden they will carry forever. The picture frames they hold are not just images, they are memories of happier times, now tainted by tragedy. The ripple effects of the gang's actions spread far and wide, leaving a trail of shattered lives and broken hearts in their wake. Support groups and memorials become a way for the community to cope, but the scars remain. Each victim, each family member, each friend represents a life irrevocably altered by the gang's callous disregard for human life. The tearful eyes and candlelight vigils are a testament to the enduring pain and the collective grief of a community that will never forget. Tragically, 4 individuals died from fentanyl overdoses as a result of these crimes. The victims were located in Luzerne and Berks counties in Pennsylvania and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. A federal grand jury charged 7 individuals in connection with these crimes. The investigation, led by the FBI and Pennsylvania State Police, identified over 50 victims across several states, including Pennsylvania, Maine, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Virginia. Specific details about the identities of the deceased victims, including their ages, have not been publicly disclosed. The investigation is ongoing, and authorities seek additional information from potential victims or individuals who know the gang's activities. Thank you for watching. For